All right, so we basically have an off-stream replay review. The student messaged me and said that they weren't going to be able to make it this morning, so we're going to go through their replay code and answer some questions from their form, and then obviously if they have any questions afterwards, they'll just message me. Let's take a quick look at the forms. This is Flux. This is going to be Gold Tank. I believe this is going to be Ramattra. What do you hope to get out of the session to see in what areas where I need to improve and how I can improve, okay? How often, how long do you play Overwatch per day? Typically, I pop in once a day and play around 3 games. On the weekends, I'll play maybe 3 hours each day. Okay, sounds good. One of the things that I would not say is concerning, but just something to be aware of, is that on your form, when I ask you what is your current rank, you give 3 roles, and they're all about the same rank. Now, one of the limitations of Overwatch is that you do want to try to focus on one role at a time, especially if you're not playing a lot of games. So you're playing around 1 hour per day, and then playing around 3 hours on the weekends. That's actually a pretty consistent schedule, and if you didn't have a lot of time, that is actually a pretty good way to improve. So I actually think that there's definitely platinum potential with what you're doing currently right now. It just might, I would just caution you, if you aren't already, you may already be, but just make sure that you're playing one role at a time, trying to put more of your time. So what that might be is that you would play only one role during the week, only tank, preferably just one hero, maybe 2 tops. And then when the weekend rolls around, you again focus on that role, but because you're playing for a little bit longer, maybe you could throw in some support, maybe you could throw in some DPS or however you want to approach it. That would be my recommendation generally. Goals. Make the goal of hitting, I made your goal of hitting gold in all roles. Okay, awesome. Congratulations. That's good. I want to be a high-ranking tank player. I like to hit and stay diamond rank. Okay, so that's going to mean you need to be efficient and really focus on your tank play. I hit diamond 3 in season 3 of Overwatch when ball was strong for 2 weeks. Yeah, and everyone's role was boosted, sadly. Season 3 was like everyone was boosted. What do you feel is holding you back from improving? Mechanics, more importantly, aim tracking. So with mechanics, I think the first thing I would do is I would make sure that, assuming that you're not on console, if you're on PC, you need to make sure that you have an eDPI, which is your mouse's DPI. You can look that up, times your in-game sensitivity. You need that number to be anywhere from around 3,000 to around 9,000. If you have a mouse pad that's smaller than yay, then you might need to go a little bit higher. But if you have a mouse pad that's at least this big, you could probably be like 8 or 9,000, 7,000, and that's going to be a little bit more consistent mechanics. I generally recommend, if you have the space for a big mouse pad, somewhere in the 4 to 5,000 range. So for example, if you have 1,600 DPI, you'd want something like a 2.5 cents or a 3 cents or a 2 cents, somewhere in that vicinity. Beyond that, it's just practice when it comes to mechanics, and most importantly, practicing the same characters over and over again. If we talk about Wrecking Ball, Ramattra, Malga, they've all got unique mechanics, and the mechanics do carry over from character to character, but they're not 100% carryover. So if you want good Ramattra mechanics, you need to play Ramattra. Okay, mentality. Tank feels bad to play a decent chunk of the time, but I enjoy the role, playing the heroes in the role. Okay, sure. Makes sense. 7 hours of sleep is not terrible, considering that you are working full time. Haven't had to drive to grind comp because of the counter swapping, and I'm personally not super good in playing tank compared to my 3. So this is the thing. This is where I'm going to need you to fill out or fill me in through the DMs more of your questions when it comes to the tank counter swapping, because tank counter swapping is way, way overrated. Let's talk about that just for a brief moment. I made a couple of videos about this already, but I think let's try and condense our thoughts here. The reason why tank counter swapping is popular, let's put it, is that it is the most visible and easy way to get value. If I go Reinhardt and they go Orisa, as the Orisa player, I can immediately feel the impact of my Fortify, my Javelin spin, whatever, denying the Orisa doing, or denying the Reinhardt doing what he wants to do. The problem is that we only see the immediate impact of our choices. We don't see the things that are surrounding it, or even the long-term impact of our decisions. And we're also not always very consistent at knowing exactly what type of value that we're getting. For example, an Orisa versus Reinhardt might feel bad for the Reinhardt, but in many ways, the Reinhardt will often demand less healing during the Orisa versus Reinhardt trade. So the Orisa feels like she's doing a lot, but it's actually the Reinhardt that's demanding less support, even though both are kind of gatekeeping each other. In addition, the Reinhardt has options to outplay Orisa depending on the map, and that's my second point. The other reason why people focus on the tank rock, paper, scissors when it comes to, like, let's say, you go Orisa when I'm playing Winston, is that the map actually gives, my cat's freaking out over here. Depending on the map, there's lots of ways to avoid the Orisa entirely. If the map has a lot of high ground, then I don't really care about Orisa. I don't care about Roadhog. I don't care about whatever. Even if a hero like D.Va, who has mobility, can have a hard time keeping up with Winston on a broad map. But the problem is that's not immediately obvious. As a D.Va, I still might feel like I'm doing my job because I can chase the Winston around and blow up his bubble after a few seconds, at which point he jumps out and I just go over and over and over again. You don't see what you don't see is the key thing. And because tanks are big, because tanks are on the front line in a lot of circumstances, and because our understanding of the game is really only at one layer, we only see the direct result of, oh, when I'm Orisa, I'm stopping the Reinhardt from taking space. When I'm Zarya, I could beam down the D.Va. When I'm Roadhog, I can hook the Doomfist sometimes. And that feels really good. That tank is never beating me. Yes, but what is that tank doing to the rest of your team? How much space are you losing? How much healing are you demanding? What's your ult economy looking like? Right? And I think a lot of people fail to see those things and they only focus on the tank trade. They're not considering the enemy's DPS, the enemy supports. They're not considering the map. And they're also not considering the options that there is ways to outplay your opposition. D.Va can just fly away from Zarya if the map allows it. Winston can avoid Roadhog entirely. Even a character like Reinhardt versus Orisa, like we said, if you play her on Fortify, if you play her on Javelin, then you're going to be in a pretty good position, even if the matchup doesn't feel always perfect. So, looking at your hero pool here, you talked a lot about Ramattra, you talked about Ball, you talked about Malga. Malga is going to have some problems with tank trades sometimes because Malga generally doesn't have the capability to consistently avoid the tank trade. But even Malga has abilities to outplay tanks and avoid tanks and outskill the quote-unquote counters, right? Orisa counters Malga. Well, yes, but if you can live Fortify, you murder Orisa. Ramattra. What counters Ramattra? Actually, I don't really know what counters Ramattra. Maybe Malga counters Ramattra, but if you're really good with your Omnic form, you're really good with your shield, a simply good, well-placed Ramattra shield can cut off his self-healing and force Cardiac, his defensive cooldown, almost instantaneously. And honestly, beyond Ramattra, like, does Roadhog counter Ramattra? I'm not so sure. Depends on how you position yourself. Maybe in the situation, if anything counters Ramattra, it would be a map with a lot of verticality where it might be difficult to get close to punch squishy. So anyway, long story short, I hope the takeaway here is I want to hear your thoughts more on what feels bad as Ramattra, what feels bad as Ball. I think Roadhog can definitely be tricky as Ball for sure. But again, there's always ways of counterplaying those things. The question is what's your tolerance when it comes to counterplay? Because counterplay does take effort. The problem is people always want the easy way out, right? And even if Orisa versus Reinhardt, Orisa actually isn't all that good. You might lose a lot of games to Reinhardt. It feels good, and one of the things that we've learned with psychology is people would rather lose the game and feel like they did something than win the game and feel like they did not do a whole lot of things. And sadly, that's something that we can definitely compensate with knowledge, but I don't know that there's an easy way to fix that entirely. So, in the large portion of the cases, especially in lower ranks, it's a skill issue. This is a King's Row game. This is a Ramattra loss. This is a 27-minute game, so all that to be said, and is this replay code not accurate? Oh dear. All that being said, I think this replay code is not accurate. I think there's only 4 letters here. Okay, we're back. We got the replay code. A little bit of confusion there with getting the right code, but we seem to have the right one here. Okay, let's take a look here. So, RAM, there's like 2 modes you want to be in. You got to ask yourself, how much pressure can I get done with my primary fire in Omnic form? So your primary fire with Omnic form is kind of a poke more to mid to long range tool. Generally not as good at very, very long ranges because of the travel time. However, it can be used as something that can create opportunities for its cooldowns and just generally put pressure, if nothing else, on the enemy tank. The ultimate goal, though, with Ramattra is very similar to Reinhardt, and that is to get up close in melee range and start hitting things, punching things, creating pressure onto the enemy backline, onto the enemy DPS. The question is how are you going to be able to do that? Because unlike Reinhardt, you don't have charge. Now, you do have range with your punches. You do have speed boost when you're using your Nemesis form, and you do have a slow and a shield that will allow you to close the distance safely. But what makes Ramattra unique compared to Reinhardt is that you have more like short-term mobility, but not quite that long-range mobility that Reinhardt has. So what you do need to do is look for opportunities and create opportunities to set up for that type of pressure. So looking at the enemy composition here, we can shoot Doom, we can shoot Reaper, we can punch Ana, we can punch Baptiste, we can punch Echo or Reaper or Echo if they get too close. But yeah, a lot of shooting here, The key thing that you need to understand is the first thing that tank needs to be doing is thinking, where are we actually fighting here? And looking at where we're fighting here, I think the priority for your positioning needs actually to be on this corner and statue here or this corner here. Here's the reasoning. You don't want to hold space that your team is not holding. You're holding this choke here, but if we look at what your Cassidy can see, your soldier can see, it can help you on this choke a little bit, but it's actually a little bit optimal if you let them in just a little bit closer. So the problem with what you're doing, if you look at this from the overhead, is that your team isn't in the best spot to help you out. Whereas if you took the position and held the corner here, they'd be in a much better position. Your job as tank is to hold the space that your team wants to hold. And the way to make that decision is before the round even starts. So while you're doing your sitting emote here, look at where your hit scans are playing going, okay, they're not positioned like here. They're not positioned like here. They're a little bit further back. So I'm going to be giving up this choke and play this choke instead. Very important skill for tank, no matter really what tank you're playing. Shield placement needs to be much closer. Doesn't do you any good if the damage is past the shield. So this shield displacement is not great. That Nemesis form is mostly used for defensive purposes. I like the punches on the Echo. Good job not feeding. Oh, your Lucio's in. And so then this is another thing. We talked about you need to be further back because your team was further back. Okay, now your Lucio's trolling. Like, I think he's kind of gotten a little lost in the sauce here. He sees the Reaper's one. He wants to finish the kill. Okay. He's messed up. So the fight location has shifted from here to here. You need to push up. Will you save his life? I don't know. But you can at least try, or maybe follow up off of the pressure that he's creating right now. Because everyone's looking at the Lucio right now. So go. This is too passive. You see that? You are willing to let somebody of your team die, even though you could have pushed forward and assisted them and maybe capitalized off the attention that they were getting. That's a mistake. Vortex is pretty good. If nothing else, forces a nice little split here. Obviously, it would have been nice to pull the Doomfist or maybe even pull the backline. But as long as it's placed well, it's all right. As long as it's serving a purpose, it's okay. Now, what I would not do is as long as you have targets that you can reach, I would not fall back. This is a common error that a lot of lower mid-ranked tanks make, is the mentality of protecting your team. Damaged heroes think that they need to farm damage numbers. Supports think that they need to heal. Tank players think that they need to protect. But if you pay very close attention, tank role is not designed often to protect. It's designed to protect through threat. You going back here, I don't know if you can consistently protect your backline versus Reaper. It's not very effective. And while you may be able to do that, you will then directly allow the Echo, Baptiste, and Ana to walk forward to hurt your team. So what's more important? To use the position that you're already in to threaten, kill, and control 2 threats, 3 threats? Or to go backwards and maybe defend your team against 1 threat? And the answer is pretty obvious here. Don't do this. You give up. This is what's called giving up space unnecessarily, where you go backwards to try and be a helping friend, but you're not a helping friend. You're a nuisance. You need to maintain your job as a nuisance with the targets and with the space that you want to control. So you're not even really harassing this Reaper that much. And as that Ana and Baptiste and Echo walk forward, well, now we're giving up more and more and more space. Mate, you have Flux, you have Shield, you have Nemesis form. Look at the hurt that you could do to these guys here. You could isolate that Reaper. You could isolate that Doomfist, prevent follow-up, if not even getting a kill yourself. Instead, we're falling back. We're falling back. Shield there is pretty good. But the problem now is that because we've given up so much space, we don't really have the distance to be able to actually punch anybody. They're too far away. You see? The Echo that you gave space to, the Ana that you gave space to, the Baptiste that you gave space to, and we're still focused on peeling here instead of actually maybe trading backlines, and so we're not stopping the Doomfist. Your tank is not Ramattra. Sometimes that's the case with a Zarya, maybe a Diva. I would still, most of the time it's not the case with those characters, but more often it's the case, right? But this is why you're struggling with the tank rock, paper, scissors. You can see it even just in this first fight that your mentality is only the tank or things that are harassing your backline. You never think about what can I do to do the same thing to the enemy backline. You're only thinking about, oh, I need to go diva here or something that can appeal my backline, right? Now, you're not actually going to do that, but a lot of tanks would get sucked into that. And this is why you're concerned about the tank rock, paper, scissors, because that's the only thing that you're looking at, that and the Reaper in your backline. No wonder you feel like you're struggling sometimes. Ramattra is just as equipped to trade backlines on this map as the Doomfist is. In fact, you had the defender's advantage. You had the corner. You had the choke, and you gave it up. Very important that you check your team's positioning, decide where you're going to hold, and then focus your threats on what you can reach and what you can do. You want to go backwards, you shouldn't be playing Ramattra. Even here, for example, you need to be asking, okay, I'm spamming the choke, I'm spamming the choke, I'm spamming the choke. But the question is, could you not do the exact same thing here? Because your team can see you, right? Everything is good. Now, it's funny because before here, you were very willing to push up even when your team wasn't there. But now that your team can actually help you walk forward, would you not want to hold closer? Is that not what your character is very good at? Something to consider. Now, if you had like a Cassidy over here or a Lucy over here, then yeah, you wouldn't want to push forward, but okay. See, even here, look at your attention. Look at your attention right now. Reaper, 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 Reaper. But we're not even looking at backline here. We can't help our team. Stop turning around. The only time you should turn around is to make sure that you know where your team is positioned. Almost exclusively. Like right now, you can't help with this Doomfist. Vortex is at worst a mild inconvenience. What you can do is maybe kill these guys. Or make sure that they don't follow up. Look at the space that you're getting. Look. You see it? You see it? Just constantly giving space. And I don't even know why we're popping Nemesis for him. I don't even know what we're trying to punch. And I'm being hard on you here. I'm being hard on you here because this is so important to understand. Your job is to, where is my team holding? Find a close range choke on that position. Use your shield, your Vortex, your Nemesis poking gun, or your Omnic poking gun, excuse me, and your Nemesis punches to hold that space and to get kills on squishies that get too close. And maybe even push them if you see opportunities. That's your job. In the same way that the Doomfist job is to try and harass and zone and kill and make backline distracted, you're doing the same thing onto his backline. But you've used all your cooldowns to peel or help your team, and they have all failed. And so now when you actually wanted to go in with punches, well, you're too far. You didn't have shield. You didn't have your Vortex. And so it just wasn't going to work. We shoot Doomfist now because that's the only thing we can shoot with that window up. But if we have choices here, what should you be putting your pressure on right now? With what you know now, what do you see? You have your Vortex, you have your Nemesis form. What do you think? I want you to take a second if you can pause this video, I think. The answer is pretty clear. Throw your Vortex on this Echo or on this Baptiste, press Nemesis, and get in there. There you go. But you see, you immediately turn your attention back to Doomfist, even though Baptiste is right there. There we go. We do turn to Baptiste. Don't go backwards. Don't go. You see yourself? You're going backwards again. It's over. You can't help this. You can't help that. He's dead, but the fight's already lost. You could have traded here, maybe killed the Ana, maybe killed the Baptiste, but we're going to go back. And then we're going to use an ultimate when we're down 3-4 people. Okay. Yeah, it's not the best. Okay, let's keep going here. I right now, for the most part, things like your Vortexes. You're placing them pretty well. I think your mechanics are not too bad. I think that you said that your mechanics were a weak point. I actually don't think your mechanics so far have been too much of a weak point. It's been a lot of what you're putting your emphasis on is incorrect. This is too far, so we just sit here and poke. We sit here and poke. We're going to use our shield. We're going to use our Vortex. A little deep, but I appreciate it. I appreciate your attempt here. The only thing I say a little bit deep is because, again, you remember you need to turn around. Okay, my backline is here. Okay, we're holding this corner right here. I don't really want to push out here because now my team can't see me. So I want to be very aggressive right in this corner. You see what I'm saying? So before the fight starts, right, even now, take the second while you're reloading, turn around. Oh, my Ana's there. Okay, I need to hold this corner. You see what I'm saying? So you have to find the balance. There's not even a balance. Like, it's not a compromise. It's a hard rule of where can my team support me? Where are we fighting? Where's that line drawn on the sand? Where's the choke? Where's the beach that we're storming, right? And then don't turn around and give up space. Hold that line. That's not 100% always the case, but it's the case 95% of the time. And those nuances, those exceptions to the rule, you will learn once you improve yourself at this rule. Right now, you're pushing with shield, good. Pushing with vortex on the squishies, good. Not focusing Doomfist, good. Good. Look at the value there. Anna's all the way here. You force nade, you force BAP healed. The Junkrat backs up as well. But the problem is you're like, well, why is it not doing more, right? Why? Because you're doing it by yourself, because you're not respecting your backline's positioning. Respect your backline's positions, but don't go back and help them. Push the enemy backline, but don't push them way outside by yourself. You see what I'm saying? So you're doing the right thing in the wrong spot. And sometimes you're aware of your team's backline, but you're going back to help them. So you're doing at the right spot, the wrong thing, right? You see how hard it felt like I couldn't actually push them? Shoot, wait. Good, just be patient. Shield there is good. Hold the space, keep holding. Do you see what happens? Immediately, when that Doomfist goes in, watch what the enemy backline does as soon as that Doomfist goes in. Watch this. Watch it. And there. Watch it. You see it? There's your vortex. There's your nemesis form. You see it? That's your priority over the Doomfist. No, you have shield. It's so important to block the echo damage and the Ana damage and the Junkrat damage, the Baptiste damage. It's so important to actually throw the shield down and vortex and kill these guys. You don't even need nemesis for it. You can actually get kills here. Good, so you do a good job with the shields. But the thing is with the shield is it feels more like you're trying to cut off his healing. I don't want you to think like that. I want you to use that shield to kill his backline or cut off the damage. Don't just think about, oh, I'm going to zone off his healing. No, you use it. You use it. You do it. You get value out of it. Oh dear. Yeah, we get back to the next corner here because we are down one. That's all right. I think one thing as well is like you're doing a pretty good job finding corners to fight with. I don't always agree with the corner that you choose, and sometimes you do push past the corner, but it does kind of seem like you have this corner discipline thing where you're like anchoring on these corners, and I think that's pretty good. You guys, you might need to back up further though because you are down here on a. Yeah, you need to do a little bit of a better job, maybe checking your team's position between fight or counting numbers because you need to back up. You are down one. Don't do it. Don't do it. You see it? You're just not effective at this range. He's so far away. This is your priority here. Look what's about to happen to you. Yes, stay there. Keep him busy. Keep him busy. And don't go back. Don't go back. Instead of going back, throw Vortex and go forward. Look at this on his HP. Oh my days. You have both Nemesis and Omnic. And see, if that Ana hits her healing shots, you won't even be able to kill the Echo. And you'll be like, what's the point of my life? You know? So you probably feel helpless sometimes versus a Doomfist. Like, I can't reach anything. Do you see why you feel like that? Do you see why you feel like that? Nice tracking. Your mechanics really are not too bad, mate. It really is not too bad. Oh, dear. Good. Just to keep yourself alive. And even that stuff there, like you pop Nemesis to keep yourself alive, and then you drop Nemesis because you know that everything's too far away to punch. So you're just going to get it to get your HP back and then go back to your poke mode. Like that kind of like level of nuance shows that you have some reps on this character and you're kind of comfortable with what you're supposed to be doing. So I respect that a lot. It's funny, you're even aware of where your backline is now. Like you're on a super far back, so you're holding this corner here. I might push up here just to help the majority of my team's pushed up, so I help the majority of my team. But sometimes it's strange. You are aware of your backline sometimes. You know? All right, let's see it. Hold the corner here. I think this corner should be fine. Junk, Idiari, Ana, everyone can help you. Hold this corner. A little early in the Vortex. I know what your intention is with Echo, but it doesn't really go that high, sadly, so... Don't go backwards. Don't go backwards. Not even for Tire. Well, maybe for Tire. Okay, but honestly, it might be better. Okay, we're good. Probably would not pop my Annihilation right away because they might be able to kite it. So just pop your Nemesis with Nano first, then Chain That's what I love to see. Chain. So one ultimate, then the second ultimate instead of using both at the same time. Because like, what if this Ana sleeps you? You know, the 2 ultimates just completely canceled instantly, right? Sometimes it's not necessary to use both. There you go. There you go. Look at that. 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 Screw the backline. Let the Doomfist get the backline. You're gonna get his backline better. You see that? And now the Doomfist gets no healing and Doomfist dies. Nice job. Nice job. Nice. Ana walks into a trap. Let's skip ahead here because we are a little bit limited on time because we got off to a late start. So we'll look at a little bit of the attack and see if things change any. All right. There's the Ram Mirror. Oh, you got a shield out. Nice. Okay, let's get in there. Let's drop shield. Let's drop vortex. And let's... Now, here's the question. Should you shoot tank or should you shoot squishies here? Right? Obvious answer here is you shoot squishies. Why? Because look at these guys. But what if the enemy backline was all over here? The Sim and Junkrat were all over here and there's just Ram. Well, then you shoot tank. But the ultimate goal is to get to squishies. So sometimes you shoot tank to win the tank trade so that you can shoot squishies. Ah, you see it though. They're right there. It was such a good vortex. You sucked the entire front line there. These guys are so squishy. The shield was a little far forward here, considering that you wouldn't need to block the Symmetra and Junkrat damage. I know, again, what you're doing. You're trying to cut off healing, and that's fine, but you might want to cut off some damage too. But regardless, fine. Vortex, fine. And oh, there's look at that, look at that. Oh, she's so low. They're so low. Oh my days. And instead, you're shooting Ramattra. That's it. And do you see what happens? You don't shoot squishies, they're gonna shoot you, you're gonna get punished for it, you're gonna lose fights. Oh dear. Yeah, not on a bit of an awkward angle there. Okay. Okay, you have your cooldown soon. Get ready to push on that Junkrat. That guy's way too close. Get that guy out of that angle. Alright, go. Walk the corner. Let's go. Your team's ready. Let's go. Shield there is good. Use a vortex, maybe go to the next corner. Hey, you're too passive here. We need to drop our shield here, throw the vortex, push them out, maybe hold to the next corner, right? Vortex there is kind of zoning, but I would prefer the vortex onto the back line there. It's going to do actual damage. Remember, your vortex is actual damage now. It's not a lot, but it's something. Yeah, it's just, this is what happens when we put our emphasis on tank trading, whether it's with our shield, whether it's with our vortex, or even whether it's with our target focus. This is unfortunate. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to break Sim turret. That's fine. But then instead of punching tank here, check your HP. Check your target priority. We'll watch one more fight here. They're all backed up. Do you want to focus tank trade or do you want to go for backline? Heck, if the tank's over here, then you just go right here and get to his backline. Make him come to you. There you go. Look at what you're doing. Look at what you're doing. This guy is totally isolated. Beautiful mechanics here. Look at that. Just forced an ultimate just like that. And even then, look at the space that you've created. Beautiful job. Drop the shield. Good. Drop that vortex if you need to. Don't go back. Don't go back. It's a freaking nano-boosted, annihilating Ramattra. You are not going to kill this son of a gun. You don't have a sleep dart, my friend. You cannot stop this. The only thing that you could do is trade his backlines or kill the Symmetra. You see it? You started off so well. And look at this guy's HP. Look at that. And by the way, look what killed you. The thing that you should have killed in the first place. So this is a major issue for you. At least with Ramattra, at least in this VOD. Major issue. Target priority has to be cleaned up. I would like to see a little bit cleaner shield placement in terms of blocking damage and enabling you to control backline. And then the final thing and the fundamental thing is going to be turning around and checking your backline's position before you choose your corner. You did a good job with choosing corner. You did a good job, honestly, with kind of understanding how to manage your Nemesis and so on and your Omnic. I think that was actually pretty well done. And actually, your mechanics weren't too bad either. But this is a major, major issue with you. Obviously, it's a nuanced topic. So please let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to seeing you later.